supposed to eat the straw, guys. Come on. This is not supposed to be food here, guys. You're supposed to sleep in it. Surprisingly, there's actually quite a bit of wheat left on these in this straw, so they'll go through here and eat all the seed heads off. They actually seem to like this stuff, so they'll have fun in here. But well, they're all bedded down here. Let's take a look around at all the animals and shelters and see how everybody's gonna fare the weather. Well, you guys always think you're getting food, don't you? Well, the cold weather is finally here in Michigan, and we have been trying to get ready for it today. It's supposed to be about -4, -5, maybe even -6 degrees overnight, tonight and tomorrow night, and the high is only going to be like 8. So it's going to be cold, and when it's that cold, things just freeze around here, and a lot of times that can mean, you know, death to some of our older animals and animals that are struggling if they're not healthy. You know, real cold temperatures, especially over a prolonged period of time, can really be hard on these guys. So we want to make sure we take every effort to make sure they have comfortable places, check on all their shelters, make sure that they're dry, and you know, just kind of clean things up and just make sure they have access to fresh water, make sure they're fed really well, and just really care for them. It's very, very important. You know, in summertime, we, you know, let these guys kind of run free in this pasture. You know, we make sure they have water and we feed them some grain here and there, but really they just care for themselves. Well, wintertime comes, they really need some help. So we want to make sure we care for these guys. Water's always a challenge, and just, you know, clean, dry, snow-free shelters are a challenge. So let me just take you around and show you some of the animals we have, and just how they are, how they're faring through the wintertime, and what we kind of do to handle waters and keeping them warm and that kind of thing. So these two stalls over here, these are kind of our most exposed stalls, and this is where the baby goats are right now. They'll be here probably for another month or two. We'll move them out onto the pasture with the adults. And then this is also where our little pig Virginia is, the sweetest American guinea hog that we have. She's very friendly and loves to be pet, and she'll jump right in your lap, I think, if you let her. But so with these pigs, you know, they don't need too much in the way of shelter, because you can see that little spot there. I threw some straw in there. She'll nest right in there and be completely buried. They bury themselves and roll in there, and it could be a lot colder than negative, you know, 8 degrees, and she'll be totally fine in here. So all I did for her was just give her some straw, clean up her stall a little bit. But for these guys back here, I like to, you know, I put a little wall up there. I know they're going to tear it down. It'll probably last a few days. Maybe a week or so before they'll eat it and tear it down and kick it over and things, but that will help just keep some snow out, gives them a block out of the wind, and they've got plenty of hay and stuff like that to bed down in. And plus, these guys together, they curl up all together and keep each other warm. So that's another thing with these guys, is the more animals you have, you know, sleeping together, the warmer they'll be. And here's the 3 little pigs. They are buried in their little nest that they have made here together out of mostly hay that they have pulled out of the hay feeder and made a nest out of. These guys have plenty of bedding here. They're in the barn. They're out of the wind. They probably have one of the better stalls as far as wind is concerned. And the 3 of them sleeping together, they're chubby enough. They'll keep each other warm. And as you can see, the chickens like to try to snuggle in with them too. So the chickens, you guys have seen this mess of a coop here, I'm sure many times if you've been following along, but these guys pretty much stay in here during the day. They don't like to walk around in the snow. They kind of huddle up all together on the roofs and things. This place is, chicken coops are just always such a mess. Here's most of the barred rocks. These guys don't always roost up on the roost bars there, so a lot of times they'll just snuggle up underneath the nesting boxes, or, you know, all together in kind of a pile and keep each other warm. This is unfortunately where a lot of times we lose a lot of our older chickens. A lot of chickens that we have here have been given to us, and they're a lot older than the ones that we've hatched out here ourselves. And older chickens just don't do well in real hard winters, Bloody Mary, our famous Isa Brown chicken that we had in the old suburban homestead. She passed away on some cold winter days in December. And we've had a couple other older chickens, you know, pass away as well. And that just happens with chickens. So these guys have, I don't use the chicken drippers during the winter time, but I've abandoned the circulating water system for now. And we just use one of these little heated dog bowls. And this thing works great. I just fill it up twice a day, and that's plenty of water for these guys. It never freezes, and it draws, I think, like 40 watts or something. It's pretty low power, so I like those. All right, stay warm, guys. So here's the second pallet shelter that we built, and this one houses the majority of our goats. These are all the Nigerian dwarfs. And I threw a couple hay bales up here just to maybe block some of the snow blowing in. But this is a pretty deep shelter, and they're probably I'm sure they're gonna tear this hay down and make a pile out of it. This will keep them nice and dry and warm. I put a lot of the straw around the edges, and these guys, again, they'll bundle all together in here, and they don't really need much. They just need to stay dry and have a place to get out of the wind, and they'll be just fine in there. So this is the first pallet shelter that I built, and you can see the straw that I put in there at the beginning of the video there. It's been a couple hours, and they've already built a huge pile. They've scraped it all into a big pile and built a nest there where they're snuggled in together. So pigs, again, they'll bury themselves in there pretty good, and their body heat will keep them warm, and plus they're fat, so you know, that keeps them warm too. Now these guys are up in my front pasture, and they actually have a source of water that's unlimited and never freezes. So this is where our sump pump from the basement drains out, and it's just pumping crystal clear groundwater, and it just runs down this trench. They always have nice fresh water to drink. It never freezes because it's always kind of flowing and moving, and it flows over here, and actually there's a nice big hole right here where the pigs normally will drink also. So when so for the other animals that don't have the stream, generally I just use 5-gallon buckets or 4-gallon buckets. I'll fill them with water. Sometimes those rubber buckets, I'll use those because those are a little easier to kick ice out of and they don't break. But a lot of times what I'll do is just fill up the water twice a day and just give them enough in the bottom of the bucket where they'll drink it down. You know, a little bit more than they need, so only a little bit of it gets frozen. Then at nighttime I come out and give them a little more water, and then they'll drink that down until they've got enough, and then a little bit more will get frozen. So I can do that for about a week before I really have to chip the ice out, just by topping it off a little bit twice a day. And that works pretty good. Heated waters and stuff like that are something I may do down the road, but I'm not going to be running a whole bunch of heaters all winter long. I mean, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 different pastures for animals, and that's a whole lot of energy to try to heat a bunch of water dishes. So this is the only lean-to that was out here. This is a tall one. It was for horses, but I've separated it out, and when I had the pig out here, I put this piece of wire in here so the pig could sleep on one side and the goats on the other. They just don't like to be right next to each other. That worked out pretty good. They actually keep this one pretty clean, just because there's only 3 goats out here, so they do pretty good. But what's your problem? We also have some older cats that we keep in. They're outdoor cats, but they sleep in the garage, and so we have made them a nice little nest in a cardboard box here, so they can cuddle up together. Did great through the winter last couple years. These are nice chubby little cats, so they should do just fine here. And then of course there's the famous cookie dough. He just goes wherever he wants. He's the king of this place. Well, not only do I have to keep the animals warm, we have to keep ourselves warm too. So wood collection is always ongoing here. We've got a pretty good stack of seasoned wood in here. This will last about a month or month and a half, and we've got more up in the garage and more ready to be split. So always working on wood collection here. On these nice cold days, it's there's nothing better than feeding that fire downstairs and sitting around in that living room or lower level area we have. Stays nice and warm down there. It's where we've just spent most of our time, and where I'm sure we'll spend most of the day over the next few days, whenever we're inside anyway or home, downstairs with that nice indoor wood stove. So one of the hardest things on the farm in the wintertime, getting through these cold months. You know, once January and February are past, we will be home free, and if our animals all get through and everybody's taken care of and healthy, we should be looking at a lot of nice births coming up in the springtime, pig births and goat births, and hatching out a lot of chickens and other things. So stay tuned for that, as always, and hopefully you guys found some tidbit of information here that will help you out. I'd love to hear from you guys though. Comments down below. How do you deal with cold weather, water, and animals, and anything, any tips or tricks? I'd love to hear from you guys, so let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on the video, guys, and raised bed garden, greenhouse. I know I've been dragging this one out this week. We'll have it. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.